member, you'll get that every single day, and it is as cutting edge as it gets. Okay, with that said, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce a very active member of our group. He's given wonderful lectures in the past to our group, and he's going to be here tonight to talk on a very, I think, a very important subject. So, with everybody, just please welcome Michael Winks. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, how you doing, Nick? I hope I'm being heard okay. Everything okay?
It is. Guys, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, let's continue then. Michael, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to share with you a wonderful meme that I got today, or I saw today. It goes like this. I am homesick for a place I am not sure even exists. One where my heart is full, my body loved, and my soul understood. I thought that was quite lovely for where we're going tonight, because so many of us feel our souls are not ever going to be understood by those we thought we loved, by those we thought cared about us, by those we thought were always going to be a part of our lives. And somehow since before the election, from COVID, from all this, everything seems to have changed. And it was illustrated so nicely in a post that an older woman, here I am being old and I'm saying older woman, I think she's in her 70s, wrote on Facebook about having canceled friendships, which kind of prompted it because she received probably 200 responses from people, all whom are talking about it and saying, yes, me too, yes, and my family too, and the daughter I love, and I can barely talk to her now, and things like that. Horribly sad stuff. I mean, we're talking about a very sad time we are in right now. It's not just all the fear that's being promoted and that we're having rammed down our throat, but it's just we're feeling so sad because all this stuff is tearing us all apart. And then what do we do? I mean, so I was going to look at some of what Sherry wrote with you, if you don't mind. And I don't want, it was very long. I'm not going to give it all, but there were certain stretches. Now, Sherry, who I've never met, she lives in San Francisco. Well, that hits a coup for me because I grew up in San Francisco and I have family in San Francisco, so I know what she speaks in that sense. And I also asked myself some of those same questions when I responded to her. I said, well, I live in New York State, and I don't know when I'm next getting back there. I don't know when I'm going to go. I have no idea. Will it be at my mother's funeral? I can't see myself going back for any reason. I would have to drive. I don't want to be submitted to airline buckus. I don't want to be submitted to, treatment by people I used to care about back there who suddenly are giving me the kind of treatment she was getting in this story she tells me. So that's why I said, when COVID hit, I had to distance myself from all those friends I had known for years. She names what they do. I was surprised I could no longer be in the presence of friends I love, but differed so much in perspectives. They all loathed Trump or were convinced Biden-Harris was the way to go, and Newsom, but he is so handsome. These friends had dubbed me mayor of the park before COVID, but after COVID, when I separated, I heard of a mutual friend, I was now called insane. And something was sadly mentally wrong with me. They were afraid dementia had gotten to me. As I said, she's in her 70s. Funny thing was I made sure to never speak about my own opinions, simply to ask questions. Connecting dots to seek the truth, right, Nick? After 1 year, yesterday, sitting on a park bench alone, basking in the sun, 6 old friends appeared with their dogs. I don't wear a mask. They all did, even though every single one of them was vaccinated. Smiling, I gave them a warm hello, asking how they were. Conversation progressed to my insanity designation. as I asked, why couldn't we each have a different perspective? Why is it necessary to make someone wrong to feel right? And finally, how did I go from being dubbed mayor of this park to insane conspiracy theorist? So, when I tried to veil how my heart was breaking, finally, as we carried on, I noticed each removed their mask and we got into a friendly exchange. On an impulse, I asked if anyone was interested in a hug. They all were. We hugged and I said it was good to see them. We separated and went our way. Although I was immeasurably grateful that our discourse had been amiable, my heart was broken. I was saddened for the rest of the day and even this morning. All those wonderful people I love lived in so much deception, in such a bubble, with so much fear. A couple of them stoned much of the day, I might add. They don't care about reality and anyone with a slightly different perspective. So here are some answers, or here are some responses. Utterly heartbreaking, with friends, neighbors, and acquaintances, but especially family. Hurts. And I think this was by design to divide us in the most crucial ways and separate us not just physically, but spiritually from those we love and need the most. It's meant to break us. What to do? Somebody said, pray and ask the universal life force to forgive us and guide us in our life and death fight and help us to overcome the evildoers by joining together with good people and supporting each other in our pain-filled awareness. The universal life force, as we have seen throughout human history, is pure love and truth in essence, and I share that love and truth with you and all of us every day. And then somebody else writes in, our beloved watering hole here in Burbank, called Tin Horn Flats, disobeyed the mandates and is now being punished. Even though bars are opening up, our Gestapo put a chain-link fence around it and arrested the owner's son. There's also a police car in front of the establishment. You'd think this would send chills down the spines of Burbank residents, but most would like to see the bar burn. The left, who once embraced civil disobedience and anti-fascism, are now siding with big farm fascists who want to control everything. The message is clear: comply or suffer the consequences. And then somebody else says, I am probably wrong to say these harsh and arrogant words, but just about as long as I am alive, I wonder, why is it always me who has to adjust, and adjust? Why other people, even close childhood friends, can be what they are and I have to adjust all the time? Why are they asking me to adjust instead of reflecting on themselves and adjusting to me at least one day a year? And then my friend Kevin, a dear fellow, from a friend of Tira's, actually, Nick, who I've been in contact with through Facebook. He's brilliant, he's sweet, he's a terrific guy. He went off Facebook a while and he came back in time for Sherry's post and went, oh, and he had to write. He said, my dad is turning 80 in 2 weeks. My sister got an idea from an assignment I had in high school that we interview and record my maternal grandfather, asking him about his life in America and New York. And I thought it was a great idea. And I can't wait for me and my sister to do it with my dad. But it's going to have to be by Zoom or Skype. He and the whole extended step family, his wife, her 3 daughters, their husbands, are, as far as I know, completely brainwashed. I was told by my sister I would have to be masked if I were to go to upstate New York. I told her I wouldn't be coming. I think I even prevailed upon my sister, purely by example, not to go. You have to have a mask to come inside the house? Get the hell out of here with that stupid bullshit. I'm sorry. I have zero patience with this. That's Kevin. This behavior, the conformity, the overriding need to get others to conform and shame those who don't. This is all straight out of Arthur Miller's The Crucible. Or half of what says Twilight Zone episodes, or yes, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And then somebody else says, for our brothers and sisters who are still asleep, and I believe in a jolting reality check soon, I have deep compassion. It is not possible to interact with them now, but I look at it on how effectively the indoctrination has worked, and remain resolute and determined to fight this when and if I can. Fear is a powerful motivator. We are all experiencing that, I believe. My experience with these precious friends saddened me. This is Sherry again. Not because of the name calling I was targeted with. In reality, I left the park and didn't return, even though they invited me back, because I truly couldn't. I didn't take the misnomers and words personally or even seriously. I was saddened because it's hard to watch people you live living so out of reality. I pray together we will all welcome a new day and a new dawn. So, when you read things like this, it does make you reflect on what is going on and where we're at right now. And that person who said, I think it's part of the plan to break us up, to make us apart and all that, keep us apart. It's sad, but it just seems to be so true. I don't want to believe that, but you can't help but feel that way. I mean, I don't see where we are going. As I said, I think what were the questions I asked Nick, saying, how do we move beyond this? How do we go into a healing place? How do we get to that place? It's going to be a process. It's going to be a process that maybe we're not aware of. I know I've had some very strong personal traumas the last couple of weeks, and I've been able to find a new consciousness, almost like, something happened to me in my, they always say, well, your DNA got an upgrade. I've heard that remark. And I'm like, well, maybe so. Something happened. I found myself able to go to a certain place to deal with these, what would have been shaking traumas to me many years ago. And I'm like, no, I must be getting ready for something. We must all be getting ready for something. And there was another amazing, unfortunately, somewhat apocalyptic post that appeared today, but it was not. But what it had to say, really, I thought really reflected, us, if you know what I mean. Whether you, me, us, all of our group, and so forth. A prediction. There's somebody named Barry Long in 1984 gave a prophetic lecture called "The End of the World." Look out, folks. There will be a disastrous reckoning for the pride of man who thinks he is smarter than the intelligence of life itself. The unawakened person is driven by having and does not know what this is. That will end up costing humanity. He said that we would die a pinnacle of scientific madness. This is 1984, this guy's writing, folks. He made a distinction. He said, a majority will die, but the human race will survive. Those who will survive will be those who have overcome fear and were guided from within by the wisdom of the heart. And this talks a lot to me about the whole left brain, right brain thing. I've just been going over through that. I've been wanting for, ages, for a couple of years now. I want to live through my heart because my brain hasn't really done me that well. And so I said, I think I'm going to make a correction here, because I think maybe even if I thought what we always grew up with, when you think about it, when we were late teens and so forth, and we were having our hearts broken one way or the other, is that, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. And so we would steel ourselves and we would become, more thoughtful and repress all these troubling emotions, and that would allow us to cope a little better with what went on. But I'm kind of an old fart now. I think if I have some kind of problem with my heart, I can handle it. I'm grown up. I've experienced it. Like, yeah, that's right. And that, essentially, these are the things that have happened the last couple of weeks, and it's happened. I've accomplished it. I feel like my heart is able to deal with it in a, not so much left brain manner, but just a consciousness manner, in a way that reaches into some sort of place that, finds a way to heal. And so I guess that's what I would say in conclusion, is we need to wish for and press for that place where the healing comes in, where we can all get to that together instead of just sort of in isolation. Right now, we're all sort of in isolation. Something else that was said before I completely sign off here on this is about Barry Long. He said, every civilization ends up destroying itself, and our civilization will be destroyed by arrogant scientists and technocrats who want to play God. 1984, folks. That was the year he wrote it. They think they can study and analyze and manipulate life, but they can't. Life is a mystery. You can't study it because you are life. not life form. You can love life and you can be life, but you can't find it under a microscope. Pride comes before the fall, and the fall will come for all who do not know the heart's heart. At the end, he says, man will only become free thanks to love. Fear is what will kill most. Oh, better. Life is intrinsically good, can only be discovered by letting love awaken in our hearts. That's the transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. Our true nature is that of the butterfly, but a lot of people won't be able to transform. I'm done.
Lots of good thinking there. Very honest, very, very honest, and I commend you for that. It's a hard subject. It's really. Oh, I see a heart. Good for you guys. Um, a very difficult subject that we're trying to face, and we all are facing that in some level. That's for sure. Right now, I'm seeing most of the people who have their screens blank or black with their names. So if you want to say something, you just turn your mute off and just say, "I'd like to say something," and give your first name. Would anybody like to start? Okay. Well, while you're thinking of it, Michael, I think that fear is the real deal here because it has impacted everybody, and it was a aggressive, deliberate thing to have happen because that was part of the plan is to make people fearful. Therefore, what can we do to isolate them? Right? How can we do that? And when I say we, we're talking about the evil elite that are right now jumping up and down with delight because they have really put forth part of their plan right now, and we're facing it. The world is facing it, and so we are in turn are being injured. We are being swept into this very fearful world, and the only thing that we're trying to do here is discover who is behind it, who's behind the curtain, and how we can deal with this. One of the things you said in your talk was the words um, uh, a bright day. You said something about a bright day, and that struck me because I'm working right now on a song of hope, and uh, it's the words. The title is "Bright Day," and I'm working with a songwriter on that. And I want you to be one of the first to hear it when we finish the songwriting. And
Absolutely.
I'm very thrilled with this. He's a major musician. He's done a lot of traveling with major performers, and he's brilliant. And I met him through the Arancha book group, one of the study groups, and his name is Ira. And it's just been such a delight to know him. And anyhow, we're working on this song about hope and about joy and about a new day. That's the title of the song, A New Day. That's the chorus. Um, I
I
think
know a
that,
wonderful singer.
hey, we'll be looking for singers. So, yeah, okay. One thing that's troubling is that when people believe the mainstream news as the Bible, and I think most people in this group understand that what the mainstream news is saying is not at all what's really going on and the truth. They're reading teleprompters that have been written by pretty unscrupulous people who are trying to put forth a narrative to make you fearful and to make you obey. That's the whole thing right there. 1984, you said, boy, does that really zero in on what's going on, at zeroing right in on it. Uh, and I think we're all feeling that. So part of an answer has to be not going to the fear mode, which you can easily do. And everybody else that is around us is also in fear mode. I mean, I was walking around New York City today, and you could see that people were more isolated. People weren't as talkative. You could see it, you could feel it. And that's part of the plan, to isolate us, divide and conquer. And that
Mhm.
goes with races, black, white, green, yellow. It goes with all of that. That's part of the plan. And mainstream, of course, mainstream press will say nothing about this. Adrian, do you have a comment now? I think that this is the kind of thing that you and I were talking about. Do you have any comments here?
Well, I just kind of slithered in 60 seconds ago,
I
but as
saw you
far
slithering,
yeah,
slithering. Wow.
my doggy's here. She's probably have something to say too.
Uh,
As far as people's attitudes, if that's what you wanted me to chime in on,
yeah,
everything going against us is to lower our vibrational rate.
Mhm.
That's like
yes.
the main. Everything in this universe is all a vibration. The whole thing, it's all interconnected, and yeah, they're lowering it. It's just I don't. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it, and I don't know if there's not just one answer. My biggest battle, I think, is looking at everybody else. I have a positive attitude. I'm good no matter what happens, and I'll do my best to open other people's eyes. But I think my worst enemy is just not being able to get to other people, and I think that's the way it was meant to be. Not everybody's going to get it, and we have to accept that, I guess.
You
Mhm.
know, one thing that's going to happen and has been happening right now, and Michael, this is part of your answer, is that we were told as a group who are ufologists who really follow what's going on and exploring this incredible subject,
My,
which has got to be one of the most
oh.
important subjects ever, ever. And the government has been saying that there's nothing to it. You're looking at swamp gas. I love that one. You're looking at swamp gas and you're thinking it's a UFO. I mean, that one, they made that up. That was historically funny. And so now, now this year, they've switched it 180 degrees. Oh, I don't know what that was. And they're saying now, oh, by the way, yeah, there are things in the sky we can't identify. They really are UFOs. And oh, by the way, we have some footage, and they're putting it out. And it's like, wait a minute, after all these years since the 1940s, and now you're saying, oh, by the way, yes, there are things in this. I mean, think of that, right? And it's that sort of reality 180 degrees that's going on. And I think that people will be seeing other stories that they always believed to be true because of the mainstream press. And now they're going to find that it's not true. They're going to really understand these things are not true. And that will be undeniable. A part of that's going to be what the masks are doing to people medically, what these jabs are doing to people. And the latest news is that within 6 months to 2 years, people are going to be in a very bad way that got the inoculation. I hope that's wrong, but some very high up doctors said there's no way that's not going to happen. So again, unfortunately, we're going to be right by they're going to say didn't he say that way back when they were warning us and we didn't listen, and now here we go. So that's part of it. Right, Michael, do you have any comment there?
Yeah, I did have one based on what Adrian said about lowering our vibrations. I certainly agree with that. I might even go a step further. I have a child of 14, and I feel like his vibrations aren't lower; they're being absolutely obliterated.
Wow.
The idea being that, you keep him at home, you lock him in his room, he only has the computer and the games to sort of console him. He can't get out, he can't do this. The idea is just to completely dull his mind and make him kind of this functioning drone that they seem to think will, be what all kids should be in the future. The robots of the future, the baby making of the future will be all robots or technology and so forth. We will all become AI related. So it's just turning off the spirit and the sensibility of children and turning it into some sort of mechanized machine, and it's very sad to see. And when I said lower vibrations, I said yes, because I've been trying to keep my vibrations high, and I think that's why I've been fairly successful. But I am who I am, and where I come from is different from where these kids are coming from and what they've been getting this past years, and the psychological effect on the kids seeing masks all over the place, and kids' faces. They can't see faces. It's tragic. It's terrible. It just shouldn't be that way. And the programming is just horrendous.
It is indeed. Some more comments. Kathy, do you want to chime in on something here?
Yes. I was going to say that the quote, "it's part of the plan," really hit me, because even though I realized it about so many things that it's part of the plan, I didn't quite capture it about that. I got to a point where, so many people that I can't trust, I just felt like I just as soon not be speaking to them because we have to talk about trivia. But I think maybe I have to make an effort to talk about trivia, because if it's part of the plan for us not to be talking, I don't want to help the plan. So I think maybe I just increased my tolerance a little bit. What matter to them that are not controversial. So thank you.
It depends on who you're talking to, and if you know the person well, you might think about what avenue you can speak on, that avenue of their interest, to interweave what you want to communicate. And that is one way, if you think about it, that can help communicate things. You have to be very gentle at first. One of my relatives was praising a man by the name of Dr. Fossey. And I said to her, he should be in jail right now. And I really believe that at some point he will be, because of what he's done to on so many levels. Way back when AIDS was the big culprit, and he was also behind some of that information and not doing anything. It's a long history to Dr. Fossey. It's very dark. But so anyhow, sometimes by relating something that you think might gel with them on their interest level might help. Anybody else want to? Sonia, do you want to jump into this?
Yeah, I'm just listening. Thank you, but I really I don't have anything to say. It's just that I just sometimes I feel alone, because thank goodness for this group, because I just I try to talk to people, and they think I'm crazy if I tell them I share the story about the AIDS. Right away they shut me down. It's it's like they shut me down. So I sort of like I give up. So anyway, so it's good that I have this group, like-minded people. Just thank you again.
Oh, well, Sonia, thank you for saying that. And when we've had meetings and we've talked about actual contact of various sorts with people, and one of the things that is always said, just about every meeting, is I can say things in this room to this group that I can't say to my husband, or that I can't say to my wife, or so forth. And so there's a very common feeling there, that this is a place where you can be honest with your feelings and with what your experiences are, and express them. Jim, yes. do you want to comment on this, Jim?
Yeah, I do. A couple of things. One of the things now that I'm getting a lot from people is the question about, oh, when are you going to get the vaccine? Because, I just got my second shot. I just got my first shot. So it's like every conversation I have with people is like, oh, when are you going to get it? And I'm like, I'm going to hold off. I'm not really sure. I'm going to wait and see what happens. You know what? I'm just going to let other people get it. I'm in really good health, so I'm just going to hold off. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day who had gotten their second shot, and they're all so proud, it's like they got the shot. And I said, well, the next thing that's going to happen is now you're going to have to get that shot every single year. And that's the plan. So it's like next year, you're going to be getting your COVID shot and you're going to be getting your flu shot. And I'm like, and I said, hey, I've never gotten a flu shot in my life. So why would I start getting a yearly COVID shot? I'm thinking about ways to reframe this so I can not be confrontational and not have people, whatever, So the other thing, just you can jump one other thing I want to say that this thing is doing to us, and I think is by design, is limiting people's right to free assembly. Right. So we have to fight like hell to be able to meet together in public, whether it's in a public park or wherever, right? It's really, really hard to get together with other human beings face to face. And everybody needs to try to do that. I find myself meeting with people that I normally never would have hung out with before, just because I need to hang out and meet with people face to face. It's such an important thing. We can't lose sight of that. And we all need to make sure we are getting outside every day and interfacing with other human beings.
Absolutely. Well said, Jim. Absolutely true. Brittany, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that Jim said. That was really well put. And it's interesting to me that we're, just for the sake of human interaction, we are going out and finding ways to meet with other people that we wouldn't have before. But I just wanted to remind everyone that as much as there is an evil agenda rolling out, literally taking place, on the other half of that, there is an agenda and a plan by the Alliance rolling out too. So the planet's ascension is the inevitability. It is going to happen. And it's important for us to go through the mud right now and find each other and heal with each other, because I really think that the truth will be revealed. And a lot of the people that we're hurting over are eventually going to see the truth. And not everybody is going to wake up and not everybody is going to see the truth, but a lot of people are going to see the truth. And I mean, the truth really sucks. It's really dark. It really, really hurts. So, patience has been the name of the game, and it's going to continue to be the name of the game. But I think it's really important to bear that in mind as we're seeing as dark and as harmful as the elite's plan is. There's also another way better plan happening behind all that too. It's all
Amen to that. Amen to that. Absolutely right. Carol, would you like to come into this? I think you probably have something to say on this subject. Carol, can you hear me? Can you unmute if you can? No? Okay. All right. We'll go back. Anybody else want to chime in? Veronica?
Not right now, but really good. Thank you.
Okay. Whenever there is something, let me know. Okay. Let me know. Anybody else at this moment want to chime in? And we'll continue. Oh, okay. Brittany, go ahead. Brittany, and then, go ahead.
Can I just ask Mike, can you speak a little bit more about your son? What's his frame of mind like? And is he on board with some of the things that you're opening him up to? Or could you just tell us a little bit more about him and help us connect?
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, because I have a 20-year-old, almost 21-year-old son, and he's totally like, as Nick knows, he's one of us. He would come to the meetings. He was very on board with everything. He was very familiar with what was going on in the world and how to see things, and what was better for your health and so forth. And he lives in remote Washington State, and doesn't mask whenever possible, tries to work with kids and not mask whenever possible, tries to do whatever, not buy into any of it. Well, that's my 20-year-old. Now, on the other hand, what you're asking about is my 14-year-old, and he's gotta be a little bit schizo because of his mother being who she is and me being who I am, because we differ. I don't dislike my ex. I don't dislike many things, but we do strongly disagree on the matters that we spoke of that came out in the talk I just gave. And so that can definitely have an effect on him, because he's sitting around feeling more self-conscious about masking when he's with her, and when he's with me, he doesn't think so much about it. Partly because he's not in New York City, where it's a frickin' mask hole center, and he's upstate with me, and it's a little more open here. It just is more open. You're out in the wild, you're out in the outdoors, you're doing whatever. So I would just say a lot of it has to do with his own. He has some vaccine injuries and some things that are keeping him kind of tightened up, and his ADHD is through the roof, and he can't really function very well. I mean, we love him, and he's basically a very sweet young man, but being cooped up like that and being oppressed in the way that COVID has done it has really put a tremendous amount of pressure on him, and he can be, lose his temper because of it. And that's not really who he is, but it would be better if he were out more and able to be with people more than he is, and be in schools, much as I hate schools, with other kids and interacting and so forth. It would just be playing guitar in a band or something, which he used to do. All these things, so many of these things are gone. And that's really been what's shaping him now for the last year or so. I have to say that for a couple of months in the height of COVID, I dragged him up here, and he lived here because it was much freer and much less stress and so forth. And so these are the kinds of things I'm dealing with. Now he's back down there more because he has his baseball team, and they're starting their season and everything. So he has to be down there. Last year, guess what? It was COVID. No baseball team, for a long time. So now it's trickier for him. He was just here for a week. But, all these, there's just so many factors right now. You don't know what is going to be best for him. He just seems to be withdrawing more, though. That's the thing. He's withdrawing. And I think what's happened the past year and more is the cause, in part, of that withdrawal.
I can really understand that. By the way, your older son he's a hope. He's one of the hopes. A younger generation who gets it. My God, how wonderful. Really, be proud of him. I was in a doctor's office just the other day, a good hospital here in Manhattan, and when I was leaving, it's a heart doctor, a very good one, and he says to me, "Nick, have you gotten your shot?" And I said, "No, I'm not planning to. The research is not in. The research is not in at all. There's so many factors that are truly disturbing." And until more research is done with some real results of there's no way I'm going to do that. And he looks at me troubled, not understanding at all. Just simply, I'm not going, "Yes, I'm getting this, I got the shot, sir," and it was like he didn't like what I was saying. He didn't say it, but you could tell he did not like that I didn't get the shot. I just didn't fall into that lockstep group and doing that. And I felt bad because I thought he is a good heart doctor. But when it comes to other things, he doesn't want to approach this. One other thing I wanted to put on the table is I ran this past another doctor, and the other doctor was really very aggressive about the fact that everyone should get the shot. That's what Dr. Fauci said. We have to do this. And it was like there was no room for even discussion. And that's troubling. It really is. And these are medical people, and they're bright. They certainly are. And yet they totally have bought what's being put out on the table for everybody. Totally bought it. And not even questioning, because I said to him, I have a lot of data from some very good research people that I'd be happy to email you, sir, if you'd like, and you can see what some of the top doctors, not only in America, but in Europe, are saying about this and their research. Would you like me to do that, sir? And he said, no, 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 I don't have time. I don't have time. Think of that. Anyhow, I had to put that on the table that, oh boy, here we go. Anybody else want to comment? Okay, go ahead. Adrian, unmute.
There we
There you
go.
go.
Yeah, I had a few things to say for you and Jim. One of the responses you can give is, but as far as when they ask you if you've gotten your shot, just say, I want to see what happens to you first.
Yeah,
You know, these doctors are all in the same boat. They're afraid of losing their license. They know what's going on. Mine's from UConn. She's completely roboted out about the whole thing. Won't even address the fact that I had lung problems and thrush from wearing a mask. She wrote it in as a cough and minor asthma when I actually couldn't hardly breathe. It's a game. Yeah, it's a real game. And then I wanted to agree with Brittany as far as the ascension. We've been told it's pretty much fact. Not everybody is going to ascend. It's just not everybody's going to be there. And I had a friend who put it in the greatest analogy. She said, if you ever try and rescue somebody who's drowning, she said, don't even try unless you knock them out. It's one way or the other, because they'll take you down with them. They're all in a panic. They're just in their own little world, and either stay away from them or knock them over the head with it. But there's really no in between. There's no placating them. Some of them are just not going to get it. And as far as your son goes, you know, every aspect of what's been going on, from what we see, hear, and are told to obey, it's all in the shot. It's all to dehumanize us. Even the shot is transhumanism. The mask is, I'm preaching to the choir, but you get it. Everything is dehumanizing, right down to our genetics. And that's really scaring the hell out of me. And that covers it.
Yeah, well, that's a lot. Thank you very much for that. What about the idea of the masks, that the people who are wearing the mask all the time, and sometimes they have to wear it through work as well as going from work back home. So they got their mask on most of the time. And about the threads that we're living when it gets moist, and those threads they're programmed. Have you seen that kind of research? Did anybody see that? That they were moving around, and when you have them on your face, the moisture triggers them. And so, oh, okay, Brittany, and this is not good news, because they can then go into your nasal and then into your body. Brittany, do you have any data on that?
Yeah, there are hundreds of videos of people filming these little, mask worms. They look like Morgellons, I'm not gonna lie. There's this guy on BitChute. He's been compiling all the VIIRS data and all these mask videos. His name's Tim Truth. He's a little bit hard to find, but he is on BitChute. And there's been a couple members in Connecting Consciousness who have tried this out themselves with their own little zooming in lenses. And the most dangerous masks, I mean, they're all crap, but the most dangerous ones as far as this problem goes is those little paper blue ones. Those have the most, and you'll find those results the fastest. But there's all over the world, people are finding these about the masks. And I just wanted to say on the masks, I think that it's coming out now, like in mainstream articles and news and stuff, that the masks are not effective, even though we know that they're not. That because they're going to go back and thank the lockdowns for their numbers, that the masks didn't help as much, but you know what did help was those lockdowns. So it's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's kind of like 1-2 punch. One, you must wear those masks, and two, put something in the mask to hurt you further. I mean, that it's insane, but it sounds to me as though that might very well be the reality here. And think of that. That's
Nick?
planning.
Yeah,
That is planning.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Nick, so this is Sonia. I was wondering if there's this living thing on the in the mask that can make you sick. I have what I've been using. I don't know if that would help. I've been putting my mask. I buy the cloth. I've been putting my mask in the sterilization box they have now that you can put your cell phone in. You know, big enough to put a cell phone in. And so
Oh,
I've been sterilizing my mask one side, and then I flip it to the other side, and it only takes like 3 minutes. So I'm just wondering, is that this, a suggestion if it could kill that whatever it is that you were about that they found that could cause people sick that's in the mask?
yeah. It's very disturbing, and there's a lot of reports that are coming out now, and you can see that some of these fibers seem alive when they get near moisture. It somehow triggers it, and then the rest of the mask is just you can see it, and there's nothing moving. And then there's these fibers that clearly is something else that's
Oh,
been
I saw
added
that.
to
Yeah,
them. That
yeah, I
that
saw
is
that.
insanity, and
That's
that I've seen
scary.
that too. And that's really another. Here we go again. But what is up with that? Is that like the 1-2 punch to hurt us even more?
Mm,
Anybody have any comment you want to say,
mm.
Kathy?
Just something to add. I also heard that they have fluoride or whatever other chemicals, and fluoride is one of the worst that can happen to us. I'm sure that we all know it's bad for all kinds of reasons, including calcifying your pineal gland. And then the irony of it is right on the box it says it doesn't really prevent you from COVID from coming in, and you can show that to anybody, and common sense has left the planet.
Common sense is not that common.
Right.
It really isn't. It really isn't. And you're dealing with an insane world right now, deliberately made insane. One other thing that it's not on topic exactly, but I'm going to take 1 minute. If you look, I really posted this the other day about the Rockefeller's father, who was as evil as it gets, and what he did when they found that oil could be made into medications. And then they thought, yeah, but there's a lot of natural medications that work. And he said, we've got to stop that. And it's a story of how he manipulated everything you can imagine so that all the natural things like vitamins and other teas and all kinds of things that have been proved to work for thousands of years were stopped. It's when you see this, you realize that he did it then and it's still working now. Oh my God. And that's another subject, but the same thing. This is greed with a capital G, and how to manipulate the world and the media, all the medical people to this day, so that they will accept big pharma and very expensive medications, and they're not accepting in general anything natural, and they're being taught that, and the doctors, smart doctors, buy it. They've been schooled like that now, and it's all because of the Rockefeller influence and aggressive measures to turn up medications because of the oil. Oil can be made into medications, and pull that on us, and all the other stuff. Get rid of it on aggressively. I'm going to repost that so you can see it again. I'll repost that tonight.
I also thinking in terms of, I know about the Flexner report. I think that may have been the seed document for this whole thing. He had something written called the Flexner report. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Oh, well, I don't know well enough to describe it, but he had somebody go around and research, whatever ammunition he can use. I don't know how to phrase it in his terms, but this thing, the Flexner report, came out that pretty much promoted his stuff. I'll look for it and I'll send you email.
Please do. I appreciate that. Michael, did you have something you want to say?
Oh, I was just trying to go back to the whole issue that I started with, which is the friends canceled and so forth.
Mhm.
I think it is all sort of stemmed from, uh, for me, people breaking off because I've been a truth researcher now probably for 10 years. And I feel like it caught up with me. They just got sick of it. And COVID was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yep.
And I think that, well, why do you go into this? Well, where I can just, I'll try to say something to my mother. Like I said, I certainly hope you're not getting a vaccine. She says, well, you have your opinions and I have my opinions, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and that's all there is to it. So there isn't even any discussion. You don't even go on and say, well, why would you be concerned about that? Why are you interested? Why are you thinking this is a bad thing?
Oh, boy.
No, it just doesn't even get there. And so maybe if I just come out of the blue and had been this, I don't know, normal, I don't know, unaware guy, and then somebody out of the blue I said, I don't like these vaccines, there might have been some listening going on. It was like, wow, that's kind of unusual. You usually go along with the crowd. You're the one who always says, yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, we do. You've never done that kind of thing before. But, the problem is I left a long time ago, and they know that. And so, of course, just something like this comes around. Like, well, we know what he's going to say. We know what he's going to do. I mean, you must all kind of have that kind of feeling in your families and so forth, or your friends are like, you're going to go there and say, oh, you better not talk to him. I have a friend. I'm still a friend of his who will say, well, you and so-and-so go off on those conspiracy things. I'm not really into that. It's like, well, okay, but you watch an awful lot of television, Ron. Is what I say. An awful lot of television. So why would I be surprised? All these people, it's like, you just spend too much time in front of the TV. You're going to get what you're going to get. You're being spoon-fed. Then you tell them all about, well, you remember, have you already forgotten there's 5 corporations that own all the media? Hey, you really think you're getting truth from all the corporations that are making profits off of you? And now you've got CNN admitting, yeah, we do propaganda. Yeah, we lied about this. Yeah, we did. It's like, well, what a big shock, huh?
Yeah, really. Now, Adrian, you had something you want to say, probably paralleling what he's talking about. I have a feeling.
Yeah, Mike, do you think any of this, losing friends and connections with people was started in the political arena first? Like, I don't know if your mom's a liberal and you're not, or do you have differences of opinions there politically also?
I will tell you that I was a very proud lefty Californian from San Francisco for many, many years. So no, I was on board with everything for a long time. But somehow about those 10 years ago, it probably has something to do with, and Nick, you're going to be surprised, not 911. Well, see how surprised Nick is? Yes, 9/11. Suddenly I started digging around to that, and suddenly I was the oddball again, or not again, for the first time. And I continued to be the oddball. I continued to question everything. I mean, what happened to the old 60s question authority? Oh, no, we don't do that anymore if it's the medical authorities, because they know better than we do. They have an MD. And this is the other thing that Kat McGuire is really good about talking about, which is just saying, these people in the ivory towers and the universities, they are just lost. They cannot think their way out of a paper bag. They're so stuck in their way of thinking that nothing else is going to do because, well, for one, they got to hang on to their jobs, but they just, as she says, they won't get off the reservation. Like they can't be bothered to think outside the box, look a little bit. Oh, well, what if you see it that way? Oh no, we can't do that. That would affect our funding, or I would never be able to teach in this town again, and so forth. And to some degree, that's sort of true. They probably wouldn't, but that's what we're dealing with. All the people who are worshipped who have these advanced degrees. It's like I'm on. I have to say I'm on dating sites, and when I look and I see somebody has an advanced degree, I get a little worried. Because, oh no, it's going to be one of those advanced degree types who aren't going to be able to get off the reservation. I'll never be able to talk to them. That doesn't necessarily mean that, but it can. I have an advanced degree, but it was in creative writing. What can I say?
Another part of this conversation, it's running through it, is that everybody here is in a protection mode. we because we love our family, we love our children, we love our neighbors. We are in a protection mode. That's us because we're good people. We are good people, and when we see uh, danger identified, and we all know the different categories of that, we try to alert people. We try to let them see that there is danger there and it's going to hurt them. And we have to try our best to try to flag it in terms that they can understand and realize that we're trying to protect them. That's what we're trying to do. And this goes through everybody here, that we are trying to do that because we're good people, and we just simply, when we see, you see something coming and it's going to hurt somebody, we say, look out, get back. Think about, we want to pull them away from the danger. That's what we're trying to do, and we're doing that for the best possible reasons. And that's part, Michael, of this whole thing here, is the motivations you have are not you want to just put your opinion. No, because you've got some facts behind you, and you're really trying to alert people that you care about. That's what you're doing. And sometimes you get kicked in the teeth. We all have had that happen. Kathy, did you have something else you want to say?
Yes, actually, I have to agree with the last three things that were said. One, I'm in the same category as Mike as far as no credibility, because even before I was known as maybe a medical rebel, even though I don't think I was really that extreme, but I always preferred alternative stuff. And I wasn't afraid of, I'm not afraid of high cholesterol. I have other ways of measuring of what I'm afraid of. And I'm also in the other category about political. I see a correlation. And I realized at the end of 2015, when I was so psyched about who's running, and I just got completely shut down, like, oh, we're just not gonna, like, why? And I tried to say why. Oh, we're just not gonna talk about that. So I had my warning, and I see a correlation. The same people who didn't want me to say anything about elections don't want me to say anything about the medical stuff. So I see both, even though the medical stuff is more extreme, because I do know people who voted the way I did, but are not believing my warnings. And the third thing, what you just said, really want to help them. I mean, yes, I want you to know, because it's a matter of life and death. It's like Hitler is coming to town. I want you to know. And the reverse that happens is they really think they'd be doing me a favor by convincing me to go along with the other stuff. And it's really frustrating. And I keep oscillating. I spend the energy and then I give up, and then I spend the energy and I give up. And this is where I, gather my energy in conversations like this.
Good. I'm glad you made my day by saying that, because I feel that these conversations and this camaraderie and sharing what's on our mind is very, very important. And this is a very important subject we're talking about here, and it's key to all kinds of other categories also. What's going on in America right now? What's aggressively going on to destroy our country? That's a whole other subject, not for tonight. But I mean, here we go again with add it up, see who's in back of the curtain, see what they're doing and how they're going to do it. And we're going to have some more meetings on those other areas also, because it's when you see it, it does start making a pattern. You start seeing a bigger picture, and it's difficult when you're starting to do the research, and then someone else brings in other research, and you go, oh my God, that part is correct. That does gel, and you start comparing notes. That's very important. Does anybody else want to say something who hasn't had a chance? Harry, Hal, have you want to unmute? Hal, are you there? Calling Hal, calling Hall. Come in. There you go.
No, I have no questions or comments at this point.
You really don't?
No, I really don't.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you're here with us. Okay, who else would like to say something? Especially Sonia, do you have any other comments right now?
No. The only thing, going back about fear, when we were talking about fear earlier,
Yep.
Sometimes I gotta remind myself, Sonia, do that meditation. It helps. And I go into it and I go to who am I? Who's the real me? Who am I? You know, and who am I is love, and I have to go there. And when I go there and I come out, and I come out of this meditation, it's like everything seems so different. The fear is gone and everything. And I have to remind myself, it's difficult to do it every day, but once in a while, I just gotta go there to remind myself, who am I really? You know, that they cannot take that away, because the real me is forever. I mean, I was I before I was born. I'm I before when I pass away. So, you know, I just want to throw that out. That, you know, centering yourself once in a while, disconnecting from everything, and just going into who you really are.
Good advice. Absolutely good advice. And the people who meditate have all said that it really is incredibly helpful. Some people do it every morning, or when they get a chance during the day, or sometimes before they go to bed. Uh, you really need to do that to keep a sane mind and clear off all the crap that comes at you from corporate, from the major news networks, from the people who've got it all wrong, and they're doing things that are hurting themselves, and you're there trying to say, think about this. But you know what? Remember that we're good people, and we're caring people, and loving people, and we are protecting them in any ways we can. That's important. Anybody else, Veronica? Anybody else want to talk? Anybody else? Who's this? I can't. Who is it?
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah. Hi. Okay. Hi.
Okay. So thank you, Michael, for your presentation. I would just like to say a few things. First
Okay.
of all,
keep the microphone very close to you. Very close.
Can you hear me?
Better. Keep it close. That's okay.
Okay. So I want to thank Michael for his presentation. I also want to support what Brittany said, that we have to remember that there is a plan, or I believe there is anyway. And also I'd like to offer a metaphor that I used in trying to explain myself to people. I had to leave a whole country because I was dumped by all my friends. And so the metaphor that I sometimes use to try to explain to them is that, you know, I was on the same station, like a radio, you know. I was on the same station as they were. I never quite fully tuned in. And now I'm on another station, and it's a different frequency, and the music just clashes, and that's just how it is. I'm tuned into a different station now. Sometimes they get that.
Right.
I don't know if that's any use to anybody, but that's the way I kind of have visualized it. You know, I'm no longer tuned into the default station.
Right. Well, right, because after a while you see right through it, and it becomes sadly funny, almost ironic, almost that what they're saying and what the truth is are very different things. And they've got the mic, and they've got the studio, and they're talking to tens of thousands of people, and people are, unfortunately, I have to say it, too trusting. They're thinking they're really getting the real deal, and they're not. Anybody else? Wes has had a chance. Anybody else want to? Oh, Michael, you got your hand up.
Yes. The puzzling thing I have is people who call themselves liberal and left are so subservient to corporate interests. I just don't get it. I mean, why is Big Pharma exempt from your criticism? Why do you give them a free pass? Why do you allow their drugs to be given to you and say it's okay when they are making massive profits? They have the largest lobby in Washington, D.C. and get everything they want from the criminal politicians, and you sit there and approve. What kind of left-wingers are you? Is this corporate America? Is this corporate greed? This is the stuff you yell about the oil companies. Okay, I agree with that. Well, why don't you do the same thing about the pharmaceuticals? Why don't you do the same thing about the military complex is run by Democrats who vote constantly for it. I don't get it. Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you paying attention? Is the mainstream media BS and the horrendously, outrageously demented New York Times has come into the picture on this too. They're just absolutely out to lunch. You can't pick up a newspaper headline without saying they are COVID nuts. They are COVID crazies. These are not mannered, intelligent people thinking about things. They are running with selling papers. It's all about selling, selling, selling. That's what media is. It's not anything to do. It's like, they knew that's perception management. That's what it's about. It's perception management. And it just frustrates me that they can't see.
Let's talk about lawsuits a second, because if you have something physical, you have the shot, you got the shot, you believed in what they were saying, okay, I'm going to get the shot, and now you've got some physical problems, some very bad physical problems, and you're going to a lawyer, and you're going to say, I want to sue them because I'm massive bills are here. I need to sue them. And you know what they're going to say? You can't, because they had made the law such that nobody can sue them at all. At all. No, even if you have legitimate hurt, that you've been totally hurt physically and mentally sometimes by this, you can't sue them because they made it a law. Think of the people who said, well, that's okay. Sure, you will make it so that you big companies can't be sued. Sure, that's okay. Can you imagine that? And these are people supposedly that are watching our backs, that are doing what they should be doing for our own good. And they tied our hands so that we can't sue them, these big companies at all. They're exempt from any kind of responsibility. Right? I had to put that out there on the table because it's kind of what you're saying, Michael. Holy cow. I mean, think of that. It's so troubling on so many levels too. It's so troubling. Boy, politics is going to have to be another conversation we will have, because that's loaded in itself. But it also has to be talked about, because that's part of the link in this big chain that's strangling us on so many levels, emotionally, stressful, health wise. We're being attacked, is what we're being attacked. When I went to a congressperson and said, I want to talk to you about the chemtrails, that I have photographs over New York City, and sometimes there's 8 chemtrails doing crisscrossing in the skies of Manhattan. And you know what she said to me? What's a chemtrail? I was like, I couldn't believe that she would say that to me. She hadn't any idea. Of course she does. Of course she does. She doesn't want to get near that. And that's another one. Why would they allow something like that being sprayed in our skies that's totally poison? Why is that being allowed? It's being allowed to this very day. Another subject, but yeah.
I have a quickie for you, Nick. This is quick, won't last long. Emergency room doctor, friend of mine, practiced for years and years. I told him 10 years ago I was suspicious of vaccines. He, of course, got outraged, and then I said, it's all about the adjuvants. And he said, what's an adjuvant?
I would love to have seen your face at that moment, that particular moment, with a shot of your face as, what did I just hear?
Most doctors just don't know what's going on. They don't know.
That is trouble. That is so troubling. That is so troubling. Wow. We're going to have a fight coming up here in my neighborhood with the 26 smart meters 1 foot from my kitchen. And we've got an appointment coming up next month with one of the city council people about this. And we've got proof. We've got a lot of proof. We've got meters on videotape that show the meters are spiking danger and lighting up red. And when Con Ed came over here, they said, there's no danger. Our meters are showing that everything is just fine. So we took another meter out, and the other meter also put red, spike, danger. Two meters are saying that, but Con Edison's does. I know it's another subject, but think of that again: the distortion, the lying that's going on such a mega level. It's boggles your mind. It really does. Did you have? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Actually, I wanted to talk about something else, but now that you're mentioning Con Ed, did you see my email today about the guy who's a truck driver who he moves infrastructure trucks like cherry pickers? Did you see that?
I did see that.
There's two out of the 300 Con Ed trucks have been moved into New York. They were staged in December or at the end of the year, and now they're being moved in for nobody knows what reason.
And the company hasn't identified anything about why they would be doing such a thing.
The guy's boss guessed maybe they're anticipating a solar flare. Nobody knows, but to have 300 into New York City, ready for something. That's so. What I wanted to actually address,
Sure.
Michael, is it seems like we are burdened, or we're supposed to take some kind of initiative to inform. And even when we try and do this, it's still feeding the divide and conquer bit. That's the whole premise of all this garbage that's thrown out there for people to either toss or eat up. And I'm thinking, well, what's the resolve? Basically, unity and love. So throughout this, even if we do have people like my own son, who's brilliant, who's gotten his shots and said, boy, was it worth it? He wouldn't listen to me. He wouldn't even, he doesn't. So even though this type of thing is happening where people have a difference of opinion, we can still win at this by saying we respect their views and don't let it come between us. And truths will come out that need to be known if there is a truth to be told. And that way they won't divide us up. We can still win even in the face of conflict.
Well said. Well said. Brittany, please go ahead.
I just want to jump on what Adrienne said, because that's 100% I feel the way forward and the way through this. And because my husband and I were talking today, and we all know that the media, that's the biggest enemy right now, is the media. And it's because of all this virtue signaling. These people who put on masks and test jab their own kids, like they really truly believe that they are doing it to help other people. We can stop fighting it. Like, we can end the whole division part of it and just accept that they're choosing to live in their ego, and we're not going to break them out of it. If they choose to break out on their own, then that'll be great, and we'll be here waiting. But I think I really feel like what Adrienne said is really hitting it home.
Yeah, really good for you, Adrienne. You said it well. It's coming to the end of our session here. I would like to ask all if you have any final thought, just to share a little something. Would you like to do that? But we'll end with Michael. So I just want to say this has been great. It's like this is what we need to share these feelings, this information, and we're going to continue on this aggressively. So we're going to be doing that. Brittany, good to see you. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, this has been so great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. I'm going to send you an email and try to connect with you all more often. I really feel like unity is the best way to go right now. And Mike, I hope you can get through this, and maybe you can get your sons to talk to each other. Just lock them in a room until they duke it out. Thank you, everyone, so much. It's been great to meet you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Carol, what you wanted to say something before we go?
I really don't have anything. I'm just happy to have this venue so I can listen to other opinions. And if I have something to say, I can say it. It's a place for we can all meet together and we all agree. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely. Well, that's thank you. That's important. I really look forward to a time when we'll have a month when we have a face-to-face meeting, and we'll also have Zoom meetings also each month. So we're going to do both of those, both ways of communicating. Kathy, anything you want to say finally here?
Yes, I wanted to say it was great to be here, and thank you for opening it to non-members. And thank you, Mike, for inviting me. And I'll write to you about what it means to be a member and find out if I should be.
Sure. Mike, did you get my email
Yes.
address? Okay. Yeah, and I'll be happy to do that, of course. Jim, have any final thoughts, comments you want to just say?
Nope. Just summer's coming up. We can always meet in the park.
Yes. And that's a great idea. And we should be doing that. We will be doing that too. Good idea. Okay. Who else? Brittany, have anything final?
She did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The screens are switching around. That's what's going on. Okay. Let me see who's next. Kathy, any final?
She did.
Oh, she did. See, it's switching. I don't know about you guys, but all my boxes are switching. Okay. Hal, you haven't said anything. A final thought, please.
No, good to be here, and I think we should take up Jim on his idea about meeting in the park. I think that would be good.
It's a great idea, and the weather's getting really wonderful now. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll figure out on probably on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. We'll figure it out. Who else would like to say something? Just chime in right now.
Yeah, well, I just want to say I like the idea of meeting at the park. And Nick, I got the thank you for updating my email. I got the new messages on my new email.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I put it in the master file now, so you should be getting it from now on. Oh, good. I'm glad you did that.
And thanks to everybody for the input. It was very interesting.
Absolutely. Anybody else now? Before we go, any other final thoughts? Someone who hasn't said anything yet? Okay, well, Michael, I want to thank you so much for handling this very, very, I would say, a tough subject, really tough subject, and important subject. And maybe at some point we'll expand this a little more. There might be a little bit more to talk about here. But thank you so much for doing the program today. Really appreciate that, Michael.
Love is all that's real, Nick.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna sign off now. So this is Nick Curto for Disclosure Network New York, wishing you all an enlightened journey as you connect the dots to seek truth. Till next time, keep informed, stay safe, and be very, very kind to one another. Goodbye for now. Take care. Goodbye from Disclosure Network New York.
Bye. Bye.
We're out. Okay.
Bye-bye.